So when it comes to referencing, let me switch back to my computer screen here. We want to start combining what we already know about how our own face works, or how about faces we've seen in the past are going to react to things, and then combining them with strategies like those flows, like those pressure points, to start seeing what makes up these expressions. So I've gone to Unsplash and just Googled, or I guess not Googled, but searched for face reference here. And I like this one right at the top because it has a strong expression that we can start looking at the pressure points and how the pieces are going to flow, and how you can start seeing that in your own references, which we can copy into the drawing portion. Okay? So this is Unsplash Plus, is unfortunately the one that you have to pay for. But let me see if I can save this still. Let's see if it gets mad at me. Okay. So you can just right click and save image as. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to open up Krita so I can draw on the actual the face here. But you can also do this if you printed out the photo and took like a Sharpie to it to sort of draft or diagram where these pressure points are going to live. So let me new image real quick. Custom documents. Nothing too crazy. Okay. So I'm going to go File, and then I'm going to go Open. Once I have my Krita set up, I'm going to open this Unsplash file, and I think we're still in the animation workspace, so I'm going to go Window, should be Window, Workspace. We'll just go Minimal. Oh, wow, that's very minimal. Default is what I meant. Okay, so like in the video mentioned, the pressure points of an expression are where the muscles are going to be kind of leading towards. If you imagine your face as a bunch of pieces like a 3D sculpture, there's lots of different sort of planes, sort of faces, like sections, layers, all types of different words that mean we're going to break this face up into different categories. Okay? With a happy expression, if we focus on the mouth, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's going to turn upwards into a smile, at least when a human sort of character is going about that way. So, since this face is not a straight-on reference, we won't be able to see all of the details like in the four corners that the video mentioned. But let's just take a look at the mouth here. Let me find a way to zoom in. That's not what I want. Okay, fine, I won't zoom in. But the pressure points on the mouth, where the pieces are sort of connecting the dots, are going to be at the top, the bottom, and then the left and the right corners. Okay? We'll worry about some of the other facial pressure points a little bit later. But you can start seeing the creases on the face. Different people are going to have different like crow's feet wrinkles or smile lines or laughter lines or maybe some age lines in the top like you see on older characters, more wise characters. But let's just focus right here on the smile. Okay? We have a top and a bottom when you're trying to draw out a mouth. And since I'm going to change my color here to a red so we can definitely see. All right. Since a smile and the positive emotions tend to move upwards, while you're stylizing, you can kind of do, it doesn't have to be exactly matching your reference, but the two lines from the top and the bottom are going to make some type of upward motion as they reach. This one starts downwards, but then it starts to go back up. And that's how we are going to be able to start translating this smile into a drawn expression. Okay? By looking for these pressure points, by looking for where the, if we take a look at this one right here, this is a good one because it's combining the creases. This pressure point is drawing the attention of some of these facial creases, right? They're all sort of falling into this little pit right here because this one is containing a lot of the emotion in our character's face. Okay? We zoom out a little bit. Let's see what other ways that this pressure point is holding a lot of weight. I don't see many other creases that we could follow here. But we do have another pressure point. You want to think about when your face moves, that's going to be very similar to your pressure points. So if you're a person, when you laugh, you close your eyes, your eyebrows go up. there's going to be some pressure, there's going to be some tension right in this portion of your face. All right? Let me clear some of these out. Let's look at some of the bigger facial pressure points that we could use to our advantage here. Let me go back to a larger brush. And I'll set it to black so it's a little bit easier to see. Big pressure points are going to be in this eyebrow crease right here, as well as if we kind of think of the same way. Let me hit you with this real fast. If I were to draw a dividing line across these two halves of the face, this is half one and this is half two, both of them are going to have a similar little triangular relationship between all the facial muscles. So if we put another pressure point right down here, and then imagine another one over here, just like we have here, it's a similar pattern to the smile pressure points. Reduce my size, we'll make the smiles green now, or like an aqua sort of color. Okay? These are falling towards where the emotional weight is being represented. Just like these ones, if we follow the creases of the eyes, have a follow towards these lower type pressure points. Okay? So with that in mind, we have, let me check back at my notes here real quick. Start looking for pressure points in the real life examples that you can find, whether your own, how you would react to, or how you would feel a certain, let me rephrase that. How you would experience happiness, sadness, anger, what parts of your face are moving. You can kind of think of them like plots on a graph. The pressure points are like the plots on a graph. So if we go back to some of these facial references on Unsplash here, let's pick a more neutral one. Or actually, no, we want something a little more dramatic. We can do something more like facial expressions. Okay, this is going to give us a little bit more. This is the same model, but she's got a different expression now. All of these expressions are very neutral. This is a good one. It's a good one that we can prioritize the pressure points again, the weights, and how you can think of the face as pieces. So a lot of Unsplash, the whole point is the royalty-free images. You're going to see this green download free button. When you click on that, it just adds it to your downloads folder on your computer at a nice high resolution. So if we go back to Krita, and I go open, I'm going to open that Jorge Rosal photograph. Okay. If we imagine this character or this individual or this reference, right? If we imagine their head as like a glass of liquid, this is a quick glass, and then we add a little bit of liquid in there. Okay. The more that the head or the glass is going to turn, the more the liquid inside of it is going to move towards the bottom part, right? The part that's affected by gravity. The same thing is going to be true for some of these facial expressions. I'm sorry, I know that's kind of, I realize, hard to see now on the projector screen. But let me go back to black, make it a little bit larger. We want to think about where are these facial creases leading towards. I see one right here, one right here. Let's see where else are we seeing some leading sort of lines. Maybe one right down here. The creases of the face are going to give you some hints as to where the facial features are sort of leaning towards. There's also one over here I'm feeling. There's also one, where else is the sort of face leaning together? Maybe right here. Just trying to visualize how do these facial expressions come together. Maybe the tip of the tongue, the corner of the mouth. All these different things are going to be pulling our attention in different ways. Okay? So this one right here especially is useful because we have the creases of this character's face. They're going to be drawing attention in some way that we can use to plot out the other parts of our expression here. So I'm going to focus primarily on this one right here. I'm going to get rid of some of the other ones. We'll just put this guy right here. And then we'll also look at the mouth to start. With some, no, red's going to be hard to see against the lips. Let's go green. Green, nope. We'll go green, 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 green. Okay? 2 pressure points on the top, 2 pressure, or on the top and bottom, 2 pressure points on the right and left. That's going to influence how our mouth shape is going to come together here. So if I use a little bit of a darker green to emphasize just the mouth portion, you might start to see there's some geometric shapes, some sort of rhombuses that we could make out of this expression. If we imagine the tongue as the bottom of the mouth, all of it pointing like an arrow towards one of our major facial pressure points. Right? We also have another pressure point over here on the other corner of the mouth, the other major point of the creases, which we can add, if we added another green arrow on the side, is kind of showing that this expression is moving this way. Does that make sense? Once you start plotting out where the parts of the face, because we got a lot of muscles going on in here, we want to prioritize simplifying this expression down into some basic shapes. And the pressure points are going to help you plot out those basic shapes. So let's see what other basic shapes we can plot out, keeping in mind that we have these areas that are going to draw, let me actually do this, areas that are going to draw more of our attention. All right? So let's see what else we got. Let's take a look at if we think back to the other example, the face in 2 halves, 1 and 2. Let's look at some of the pressure points that might be happening around the eyes. They're typically going to be in the corners here. And then above the eyebrow ridge, you have a pretty expressive muscle right here. And then about towards the tip of the nose. Okay? So, let's see. Let's not make it green. Let's make it red, since those are complementary colors. Okay, so point right here, 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 and here. We can see that the eyes are sort of making up a 2 triangle, right? They might look like a pair of sunglasses or some type of pair of eye gear, that we can build the eyes inside of these little sections, knowing that the energy is going to move towards one of these pressure points, whether that's to the downwards, to the edge. It's not quite clear yet, but let's keep these 4 red dots in mind. Okay? So, because these eyes are not open very wide, oh, that's a bad arrow. Because these eyes are not open very wide, because these eyebrows are not raised up and down very much, what does that tell you about this character's expression? I'm curious. Is this a particularly strong emotion this character is feeling, or are they a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more content? Jack.
More comfortable.
Exactly. Why do you think they're more comfortable?
Well, they're just not, it doesn't really look like they're straining themselves that much. There aren't that many creases.
No, strain is a good word for what emotions will communicate. The more strained an emotion looks, the more stretched or tense or moving the emotion is, usually the stronger it feels. So since this character has a pretty relaxed set of eyes and eyebrows, they are communicating to us as the audience that they are not feeling a particularly strong emotion. Okay? So, if I'm just going to trace these eyes a little bit here, focus on the pupil. And then the eyebrow. Draw them a little more triangularly. Okay? An important part of understanding how the face works, honestly, is tracing. I know this is kind of a crazy visual, but this is keeping that energy, let me make this a little bit darker red, within these little triangular sections that you can look for while you're trying to communicate your emotion. Let me get rid of some of this so we can There we go. So with the eyes, you want to go simple, just like you want to do with the mouth. You want to start as simple as you can with your emotions, with your expressions. We just want to communicate that these eyes are relaxed. So I'm just going to do a very simple, using our guides. These are going to be where your eyebrows sort of lean towards. All right, this is dramatic, but it helps us lay out how the eyebrows could look. Okay, so this one is a little bit, this pressure point is actually a little bit further back now that I look at it again, but okay. And then we'll look at the actual eye itself. Something like this. The actual eye itself. I talked a little bit longer than I intended. Something like this, so you guys do not have to do the exit task at the moment. I'm going to add a little bit more detail to the mouth in the green section so that when I turn off my reference, just pretend the tongue is a trapezoid for the time being. And then I'm going to do a very simple pressure points sort of look on the nose. We'll do a blue for the nose. It's going to go down, and then it's just going to turn back towards one of those other pressure points that are going to crease like this. Okay, so I'm going to add a little arrow in that instance. So if I go to my layers, which I can find real quick, hopefully I've not been drawing. Where are my layers? View, layer me. Come on now. Ah, here they are. Okay. So it is all in one layer. That's a bummer. I can't remove the image. But if we did not have the picture here, the emotion of this character is still being translated because we're looking for these pressure points. And we're communicating. If we look at my trace over here, these eyes, my trace is depicting a similar amount of relaxation because the eyebrow's not raised, the eyes are not open. Still communicating the comfort, or maybe even the playfulness or fun that this character is experiencing. Overall, the main strategy I want you guys to start looking for is start seeing where you can find these pressure points in other people's faces just while you're looking, or while you're conversing with them, while you're watching animated or not animated stuff. Okay? Start looking for these pressure points and ask yourself, what are these pressure points communicating? And then tomorrow we'll do something where we try a little bit more strategically drawing these expressions, because I think this is a good place to start in communicating that stuff. This might be things you already have experience with. You might have already figured this out in your own words and definitions in your drawing practices, but still a good way to start thinking about this like a scientist or like a person studying the human face, the human experience. These are good tools that you can try.